Hi, Ms. Davis. Thanks for joining. We'll give it a couple minutes to see if anyone else is going to join us, and then we'll jump into um, some information here. Oh, um, Sharon, so we had the breakout for Northeast Middle Outer from 5 to 6, and then from 6 to 7, it's going to be for Southwest Outer. You're welcome to stay on to kind so what I'll be doing is I'll be providing kind of an overview of how the plan is organized and how you can read it. So yeah, unfortunately, we just the Northeast Middle Outer was done from 5 to 6, and then so from 6 to 7, it's going to be Southwest Outer. If nobody else joins us, then I'm happy to answer questions about North Middle Outer or Northeast Middle Outer in the meantime. But otherwise, um, we are recording it, but we're not. I'm not sure if we're providing the recordings. We typically record for like scribing purposes, um, to like make sure we documented all the notes. Um, but one thing you can do is you can um if you want to listen to the what I'm going to share for the Southwest Outer, it applies the kind of organization of the plan that I'm going to share um applies across the city when all plans, but just the specific content will be different. But if not otherwise, then you can visit we have our office hours that we do on Tuesdays and Thursdays from now until the plans get adopted. Um, if you're not if you want to like speak to specifically to that plan, and I can share this here. So on our cltfuture2040.com website, and while we're waiting, I'll kind of gonna go through this briefly. So on our website here, CLT Future 2040. If you're not already aware, sorry, or sorry if you already know this information, but you can click on View the Draft Plans, and then here you can click Northeast Middle Outer and view and comment um, on the plans here. Um, and then we have our policy map that you can comment on within this geography as well. Um, and you can do that by, again, going to our website, CLT Future 2040, and over policy map, revised policy map, and that'll take you here, and you can make comment, you can view the policy map or make comments on the map here. Um, but yeah, hopefully that helps or answers some, but be happy to answer any other questions. And I'm not sure if anyone's going to join us, but I'll give it another minute. And if not, I'm happy to go back and review the Northeast Middle Outer area. If no one joins, if someone does join, I just have to go um, back to Southwest Outer since that's kind of how we allotted the time. So I will pull it up while we wait. Okay, let me share my screen since it's just you and me so far. Okay, make sure this works. Sorry, bear with me. I have a lot of screens open here. Okay, so I'll kind of briefly go through the Northeast Middle Outer section since it's just you and me. So to start, I'll share some, but I'm not sure how much familiarity you have with the comp plan in the background, so I'll just kind of give a brief overview of it. So the reason for developing the community area plans is because Charlotte has been continuously growing for decades, as you know, and it's projected to continue to grow. So in response to that projected growth, our city adopted the Charlotte Future 2040 Comprehensive Plan in 2021, which defines our 20-year vision for growth and change. The plan essentially calls for future growth to benefit as many people as possible. While the comprehensive plan while the comprehensive plan provides a broad vision for our community, oops, um, while the comprehensive plan provides a broad vision for our community, there are other levels of guidance that are needed to help make the vision come to life. So this is the planning framework that is adopted within the comprehensive plan, and it identifies the subsequent levels of guidance that's needed. So level 2, which are strategic plans, are citywide documents that provide more details than the comprehensive plan on a particular topic. So for example, uh, the strategic mobility plan provides more guidance on how to realize goal 5, creating safe and equitable mobility choices. And just one moment. Hi, Charlene, thanks for joining us. So I'm providing kind of a quick overview of the the northeast middle outer. I'm sorry, the northeast middle outer community area plans. But let me actually switch back to southwest outer, and Sharon, we'll see if we can get back to answering your questions at the end. I apologize about that. Okay, one moment. Okay, I'm just going to start over here. Okay. So yeah, thank you guys again for joining us for this webinar tonight. So I was letting Sharon know earlier that we were focusing on the northeast middle outer plan for the first hour, and for this second hour we'll be focusing on the southwest outer plan. To give some background, the reason for developing the community area plans is because Charlotte has been continuously growing for decades and is projected to keep growing. In response to our projected growth, our city adopted the Charlotte Future 2040 Comprehensive Plan in 2021, which defines our 20-year vision for growth and change in Charlotte. The plan essentially calls for future growth to benefit as many people as possible. And while the comprehensive plan provides the broad vision for our community, there are other levels of guidance that are needed to make our vision come to life. This is the planning framework adopted within the comprehensive plan, and it identifies the subsequent levels of guidance that are needed. Level 2 planning, which are strategic plans, are citywide documents that provide more details than the comprehensive plan on a particular topic. For example, the strategic mobility plan provides more guidance on how to realize goal 5 of the comprehensive plan, which is to create safe and equitable mobility choices for all. Level 3 are these community area plans, which provide more guidance for the appropriate land uses and building form and infrastructure needed through the plan geography. Level 4 plans are specific plans that focus on smaller geographies and provide more guidance for implementation of specific projects. It's important to note that levels 2 through 4 all build upon the vision and goals outlined in the comprehensive plan. So community area plans are essentially about creating complete communities, which means creating places that integrate housing, job opportunities, daily goods and services in an accessible manner. In other words, live, work, and play in the environment that you live in. So these community area plans were developed with a 5-phase process that occurred over 2 years. Staff has offered multiple engagement opportunities in each phase, and the outcomes of each phase have been shared along the way. This slide summarizes the engagement efforts from phase 1 through phase 4 of this effort. We've reached over 400,000 residents, both online and in person, using a range of constant and coordinated tactics. So this includes tactics such as the social media posts, videos, our website, and all the online interactive content we've produced. While virtual interactions are great, we still really value our in-person interactions, and we were able to connect and interact with 6,000 people from phase phases 1 through 4 in the past couple years. For this planning effort, we hosted 50 workshops in which we asked residents to join us, but we also made an effort to meet people where they were by attending other meetings, festivals, and libraries across the community. So you can see on the map here to the right, the kind of geographic dispersion of our in-person interactions. Throughout phases 1 through 4, we received about 1,700 comments, and that helped shape these draft plans. All of this engagement also builds upon the feedback that we received through the 500,000 interactions during the comp plan development and the 6,000 interactions with the policy map. So the plans were developed using a systematic process, meaning they were developed in the same way and will have the same components and format within them for each of the geographies. So while the plans were developed systematically, each plan includes both unique content that reflects the individual character of that geography, as well as some new common policy guidance that helps achieve our vision. These plans provide also a common set of considerations for all decision makers to ensure that we're consistently evaluating options for growth in line with the city's vision. Over time, these considerations will help ensure that the growth is accommodated in a way that will respect established neighborhoods, align our growth with our infrastructure capacity, and create vibrant mixed-use centers for all. So with that background, oops, sorry, let me hop over to the Southwest Middle one. I thought I had that one open. Oh, okay, there we go. Bear with me. Let me hop to that one. Okay. So yeah, with that background, I'll walk you through the contents of the Southwest Outer Plan. So all of the plans are organized in the same way, but with the content specific to each area. The plan table of contents is shown here. So we have the introduction, the community area profile, community needs and goals, creating complete communities, supporting the vision, implementation, and the appendix. So this first section, oops. So yeah, for the community area profile, it provides an overview of the area. So this includes a summary of the projected residential units and new jobs for the area, as well as a comparison of local demographics to citywide demographics. For the community needs and goals chapter, the geography's greatest needs and prioritized goals are outlined here. For this geography, as you can see here, the first priority is focused on increasing access to housing choices, followed by access to daily goods and services, then access to job opportunities, followed by environmental justice. The plans focused on these 4 needs because these are metrics that are outlined in the comprehensive plan as paramount for ensuring future growth benefits as many people as possible. The 10 comprehensive plan goals were linked to these 4 metrics, and if a metric scored less than 5, the associated goals were identified as priorities for this geography. I'll also note that all the goals are important to each geography across the city, but this prioritized list helps prioritize limited dollars and resources in our community. So the Creating Complete Communities chapter focuses on the recommended development pattern for the geography via the 2040 policy map that you see here on the screen. The colors in the map relate to the types and intensity of development that is appropriate in the area. To learn more about the colors, you can see the place type designations in the appendix, and I can also show you them here after I get through this. But the plans basically recommend that 85% of the geography remain as is, meaning if redevelopment occurs in these areas, like neighborhood 1 shown in yellow, then new development should match the scale and intensity of development on the ground that's on the ground today. The plan recommends that 15% of the geography evolve into a different type of development than what exists today to accommodate that future growth. These changes will help accommodate that projected growth in a way that respects neighborhoods, pairs growth with infrastructure capacity, and creates mixed-use centers which help increase access across Charlotte. Now, the map can certainly change over time, and there's specific guidance around that within the program guide to ensure that future requests for changes are aligned with our growth strategy. So this program guide is available online as well, so you can view that along with the plans. The rest of this chapter illustrates the types of changes to the policy map and how those recommended changes help advance the geography's priority goals and address their greatest needs. The next chapter, Supporting the Vision, includes 5 sections and references the Neighborhood Toolkit. The Neighborhood Toolkit is a part of the appendix, which you can also view online, and it's a reference for all geographies. The toolkit catalogs all of the great programs that are available to residents today to help address various community needs. The intent is that this toolkit is a resource to empower neighborhoods who want to take action. So, for example, there are multiple programs that are offered for groups or individuals to tap into resources to help, for example, amenitize their common open spaces in their neighborhood if that's something they want to do. So the mobility section in this chapter was developed in coordination with the Charlotte Department of Transportation, the Charlotte Area Transit System, and the Charlotte Regional Transportation Planning Organization. It restates that Goal 5, which is to have safe and equitable mobility for all, is important across all of Charlotte. It includes a clip of the citywide streets map, which outlines the future cross-section for arterial streets in Charlotte. And then guidance for smaller streets is informed by the Unified Development Ordinance regulations. This section summarizes the strategic mobility plan and highlights the strategic investment areas within the geography. The strategic mobility plan is a level 2 type of plan that provides level 2 type of plan guidance that outlines the city's mobility policies. The SIA, the Strategic Investment Areas, is a citywide investment strategy for maximizing the city's limited investment dollars in an efficient and impactful manner. So next, the mobility section also includes a new level of guidance called the Mobility Assessment. This assessment evaluates how well our future mixed-use places are meeting our aspirations or not meeting them, as outlined in the place type descriptions. These assessments should be used by all stakeholders, residents, developers, and city officials to help inform future development and infrastructure projects and decisions within these areas. So, for example, if a developer wants to rezone a site within one of the mixed-use locations, they should use this assessment to propose a project that improves those conditions. Similarly, community members can evaluate and advocate on proposed projects against this assessment to determine if the project contributes to those areas' aspirations. The open space and community character chapters include a similar assessment because open space and character are important components of the place type aspirations. But for the sake of time, I won't go through those slides. But I encourage you to visit this chapter online if that's something that you're interested in, and you can comment on it online. So in this next section, environmental justice and sustainability, it builds upon the comprehensive plan's vision to reduce environmental impacts across Charlotte. This section provides more detailed analysis of the environmental impacts within the planned geography, providing information on tree canopy, impervious surfaces, proximity to industrial and major infrastructure, and floodplains as shown on the assessment dials here on the top image. It also introduces heat impacts as a new environmental metric that should be considered in future decision making, as shown on the map here on the bottom. The implementation section provides additional specific strategies for various partners and agencies for advancing the work and contains illustrative concepts to provide some visualizations for how areas that are recommended for changes, how they may evolve over time. So the program guide and the appendix are also available for your review, where you can find additional background information to support the content in these plans. So after these plans get adopted by City Council, the plans are implemented in multiple ways. The private and public sectors, the private and public sectors both have a role to play. Plans may be implemented through private development, pub, private-public partnerships, capital improvements, or rezonings. Community area plans are an important component of Charlotte's planning framework, but they're not the only tool in the toolbox. We also have specific plans which focus on smaller geographies and are more implementation focused. And we have the ability to develop this guidance if and when needed across the city. So keep in mind, planning is cyclical, and we plan to monitor and update the comp plan and the community area plans every 8 to 10 years as conditions may change over time. And then, so for next steps, staff is going to share all of the comments that we've received to date and the potential amendments to the plans with our planning committee next Tuesday. And then City Council has decided to delay their decision on adoption from May 27th to sometime in June to give the public a bit more time to review and comment on the plans. So I'll share a QR code here and our website, and then just one more page I'll share for how you can continue to review those plans and provide feedback. So we have our virtual open house available on our website, and I can kind of walk you through that in a minute after I close this screen out. You can read the draft plans and share feedback directly on the plans. We have office hours as well. If you know someone that did not get to attend this, or if you know community members that haven't been able to attend these, we have Tuesdays and Thursdays available until adoption, where people can sign up to speak to us, and we can again kind of walk through these plans like I did today. We also have hard copies of the plans available at the libraries. We had our public hearing this past Monday, and then we have this virtual webinar today. So before I kind of jump into the website and share how you can comment, I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys have. And if not, I'm happy to show how you can look at the plans. I know it's a lot of information all at once. Okay, well, if there's nothing, you're welcome to unmute yourselves and share any thoughts if you'd like. But if not, then I will just kind of go to our website here. So our website, as I showed on that last screen, is cltfuture2040.com. And I'm gonna just show you a few different things. So if you go down on our website, our virtual open house is here. This kind of shows like a high level overview of how the plans were developed and the content of these plans. This is where you can sign up for those office hours I mentioned, and then this is where you can click you can click here to view all of the draft plans. And so when you click on that link, it'll take you here. It shows you can click on the program guide that I mentioned and the appendix that I mentioned, and then it has all the plans listed here. So I'll click on Southwest Outer, and I'll show you how you can comment. So you go here, you can see these numbers here are comments that other people left. You can scroll through the table of contents here, or you can just kind of like go through here. And to leave, you kind of read through this whole section, and then to leave a comment, you just click on the screen like that. You put your name and email, and then we'll be responding to the comments. We'll be responding to all the comments that we receive and seeing how we consider them in any plan changes. And so you can make additional comments here. And then the other way you can comment is, let me go back to this website over here. So if you're on CLT Future 2040, you can go to 2040 policy map and click on revised policy map. And this will take you here. So let me zoom over to Southwest Outer here. So you can see we have a couple of comments here. So you can see, and you can see other people's comments throughout the community, and you can make comments on it itself. So the areas that are slated for change are the ones that are highlighted in this yellow outline. So it's mostly kind of around these centers right here and a few other parcels. So for example, let's click on this one here. So it says the adopted place type was the community activity center. and the revised place type is neighborhood 2. And I am also going to walk you through what those colors on the map mean. So yeah, all of these colors here. Let me go here. So yeah, all of these, all of the colors on the map reference these colors here. So for yellow, it's going to be neighborhood 1. So that's going to be primarily single family residential neighborhoods. And that's kind of the main thing that we want to protect across the city. Neighborhood 2 is orange, and that's going to be apartments and townhomes, so slightly denser residential development. And if anyone has any questions or comments while I'm going through this, please, you're welcome to come up you and or drop a question in the chat. So yeah, yeah, this neighborhood center, community activity center, and regional activity center, these are our mixed use place types, just at different levels. So neighborhood centers are going to be small, walkable mixed use areas, typically embedded in neighborhoods that provide access to dining, goods, services, and residential for nearby residents. The community activity center is going to be slightly more intense mixed use areas that provide those same things for nearby and regional residents. And then the regional activity center, that's going to be like your extremely dense mixed use center. So that's Uptown, Ballantyne, University area, and South Park area. Um, that's going to be kind of your regional activity centers, North Lake as well, I think. Um, and then Parks and Preserves is county-owned land that's designated for parks or open spaces. Commercial is mostly car-oriented areas for destinations for retail services, hospitality, and amenities and things like that. That's typically along major streets or near intersections that, again, is more centered, more car-oriented. Then our campus place type is this teal color, and that's going to be larger campus settings. So Johnson C. Smith University, UNC Charlotte, large schools or office campuses. Um, then the purple is manufacturing and logistics. So that's going to be industrial areas and manufacturing areas. And then this light pink color, innovation mixed use, that's typically areas that were formerly manufacturing and logistics sites that have transitioned to kind of adaptive reuse buildings and turned into kind of mixed use places. That's kind of happened in various places throughout the city, especially closer to like the center city area. So yeah, so let me go back to this map again. And so this is how you kind of look at all those colors here. So you reference the place type map and then see what's here. So again, you can comment on this as well. You just click on when you go to this revised policy map, this feature will pop up here, and you just click on comment, and then you can drop a comment wherever you want on the map. You can zoom in, find your street, or find wherever you want to comment on. You drop it here, and then you just provide this information that's asked, and then do create. And so that's how you can comment on the map and the plans. And yeah, that kind of gives an overview of the plans and the process and how you can review those plans. Again, I'm happy to answer any questions or clarify anything or do my best. Or if you have any specific comments, I'm happy to take them as well, and we can share them. We'll share them with our project team. Well, if there's no questions or comments, that's really all I've got. I'm happy to answer any questions again for Southwest Outer, or Sharon, if you have any questions for the Northeast Middle Outer, I'm happy to answer those as well.
Hello. If there are no other questions, are you
Yeah,
able to go back to the northeast
yeah, sure.
middle and get that? Thank you.
Yeah, let me go back to that one. Northeast Middle Outer. Okay. Okay, so yeah, a lot of the content will be the same. I'm just going to go. I'll show you the areas where it would be different. So like as the outline of the plan remains the same, but again, it's just the content is different. So yeah, as shown here, we have the community area profile. So this highlights um, the kind of current statistics of the area, the demographics of the area, and compares it to the rest of Charlotte. And then on here, we show the expected growth. So that's how many residents and jobs is this area expected to grow by in the next 20 years. And then, yeah, so for this geography's greatest needs and prioritized goals, the first priority was focused on increasing access to housing choices, followed by access to job opportunities, and then access to daily goods and services, followed by environmental justice. And so as mentioned, these plans were focused on these needs because these were the metrics identified in the comp plan. Um, the comp plan's 10 goals were linked to each of these four metrics. And so the goals that are highlighted here are the goals that are prioritized for this geography. And again, all the goals are important across the geography for all geographies across the city, but this prioritized list helps prioritize limited dollars and resources. And then for the northeast middle outer geography here, so the majority of this, the plan recommends that the majority, so 78% of the geography remains as is. And then the plan recommends 22% change for existing development. And again, it shows how the changes will help achieve those goals. And actually, while we're here, I will show you in the plan document how you can read this. Okay, so northeast middle outer. Okay. So when you're in the plan reading all of the sections, let me scroll down here. It shows the map and it shows kind of a brief overview of this. It shows examples of locations where some of that change is anticipated. So the area along Verona Road, there's some vacant parcels there, and so that's transitioned. That's expected to transition over to Neighborhood One. And again, this layout is across the geography, so you can see the same thing for Southwest Outer as Northeast Middle and all the others. So there's some commercial along North Tryon Street that's expected to transition over to Community Activity Center. So that'll make it a more mixed use kind of walkable place over time. I know it may seem difficult to imagine now if it's like very car centric, but it's a long-term plan that helps that it's envisioned to kind of transition over time to provide those 10-minute neighborhoods and increase access to amenities and goods and services. Another section that's in area that's anticipated to change. So neighborhood one on Dolphin Lane, it's expected to transition over to Parks and Preserves. This is an example where the county may have acquired some property there. And maybe it was in a floodplain, or maybe it could be various reasons. But in this case, so they're going to transition from neighborhood ones into Parks and Preserves. And then another example of an area, the area along Plaza and Milton Road, there's a lot of commercial uses there at the moment, and it's expected to transition over to neighborhood center over time, as the market, calls for it. But yeah, the idea is for it to offer more access to amenities and goods and services, as well as residential in those areas. So let me go back to the other slide. And the rest of this area, the rest of this section is the same as the Southwest Outer one. Here you can see the streets map for the area. It shows all of the different types of avenues that are located here, and then it shows the strategic investment areas that I mentioned, and you can see these in the plan themselves. It has a few different projects that are highlighted, and it shows what specific things are called for within each of those areas. And then again, for those strategic, the mobility assessment that I mentioned, it highlights specific areas, and then there's a legend that shows the different things like again, and this is again common across northeast middle outer and southwest outer all geographies. So it shows the pedestrian network, bike network, crossings, block length, parking, access and internal connection, and transit access. So it shows where these areas fall short of meeting these aspirational goals. And so adopting this will then be policy that helps inform future decisions when growth happens, that these areas should improve over time with decisions that are made for that growth. Again, this is the environmental justice assessment. It shows a heat map for the area, and it shows an overview of the environmental justice assessment here. And yeah, that's basically it. That's kind of the overview of this. Was there any questions or anything specific that you had questions on, Sharon?
Yes, you had a map of the area and different changes that were going to happen. And I'm not sure if it was the yellow that
Sorry,
was
yeah.
going to change and the purple that was going to pretty much stay the same, or
Yeah,
I
so
don't know
this
if you
is
can.
yeah, can you see this map here?
I can.
Okay, so yeah, I think sorry, I think you were cutting off, the audio was cutting off a little bit. But you said you wanted to look at the map of the areas that are changing?
Yeah, I was trying to look at the yellow to kind of highlight and see. So you're saying basically the purple, I will pretty much say the same, but it's maybe the yellow and the orange.
Yeah, so it looks like there is so a lot of this is the manufacturing and logistics section here. And when you click on an area right here, it'll show you what it is. So the adopted place type is manufacturing and logistics. And then it looks like there's a piece within there. So okay, so this is an example. So there's this giant area of manufacturing and logistics, but there's a piece that is now being revised to parks and preserves. So this means that the county has acquired this land, possibly, for a future greenway. I see it's along Seal Creek. So for whatever reason, the county acquired this land, and so eventually that will transition to open space. So this space will be preserved, which is a good thing within this area. And then another example. So okay, so along Wingate Road here. Okay, the adopted place types, this is kind of opposite. It was parks and preserves. It might have been an error in the mapping as well. Sometimes this happens. And then it's being transitioned to neighborhood one. So it's kind of just going to match the existing character in this area. So this is all neighborhood one, and so it'll stay neighborhood one. Um, and then so okay, we can look here for example. So along Tryon, just north of Shopton, if you click on this area here, so the adopted place type was previously the community activity center. Kind of the rest of this shopping area here on Steel Creek and Tryon, it was a community activity center, and so this is transitioning over to campus. And I think this may be a school or a church. That might be why it's transitioning over to that place type. Yeah.
You're saying it's transitioning to a community center?
This one is going from community activity. This one's so when you click on it, it says community activity center was the current adopted type place type, and then in this revised map that City Council is going to consider, it would transition over to campus. And so I can't say exactly. I'm not sure if you guys know this area specifically what this is. This may be a church or a school here, and so I think that's why it's transitioning over to campus. Yeah.
I see. Yes, I think it's a church.
Okay. Yeah. And yeah, so then yeah, anywhere you kind of click on the map. So it looks like, okay, so right here, this was previously neighborhood one, and it was a correction. So I believe it's townhomes here. So it was going over to neighborhood two. So that's just correcting it to what it's matching, matching it to what it is today. Mhm. Is there any specific areas that that you, Amber, or Sharon wanted to look at?
So I'm in that southwest outer, this
Okay.
bottom corner.
Yeah.
I'm always very interested in what developments or how what the future plans look like.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know what to ask other than just I'm just interested
Yeah.
in this area.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll say, so this is these are all policy documents, so it's saying what the community will should expect to see over time. So it's not like this is here, this is going to happen tomorrow. So it's, so it's not like that, but it's like this is what, and if adopted, then city council says this is what we want, this is the community wants for the future. And so if there's areas like if you go on here later and you are kind of looking around, if there's areas that you don't agree with the color or see something, you can put a comment on there like, oh, I think this should go to this or this or that. Like, or if you see, for example, like um mobility or transportation or transit issues that you want to address that you would like to see addressed in this plan or considered for future plans, you can put comments in there for that as well. So yeah, transit mobility, open
Okay.
space, those kind of things. So if there's like areas that you would like to see improve over time, um, you can make comments on this map or on the plans as well.
Yeah, I think one of the bigger concerns is making the area walkable
Hmm.
or something by car. Like a lot of
Yeah,
newer developments, right? Their sidewalks go to the end of their neighborhood and then
yeah,
they cut off, and you're
yeah,
walking on the people have to walk on the road.
yeah.
So just making green space, community centers,
Okay.
making it more walkable.
Yeah, noted. We will share this and include this in our feedback as well. Um, Let me go back to this section here so you guys can see. Let me go supporting the vision. Um, so this section under the supporting the vision section, it talks a little bit more about that and the goals of, making more walkable and having like all modes of transportation available to everyone across the city. Um, and it kind of shows the goals for that. We have this map here called the Charlotte Streets map, and it shows the different types of streets. And then CDOT has this plan called the Strategic Mobility Plan that shows all of these avenues and a cross section of what those are expected to look like over time. Now, some of these will happen as development occurs. So when a new development goes in place, like if the developer is going to build apartments here, they have to build the sidewalk or the bike, whatever's planned for it per this map. They have to build that as part of development regulations. There's also other regulations. They have to do like a tree save. They have to do open space, depending on the level of the size of the development. Um, but so yeah, this map shows that and how private sector will help improve those. But in addition to that, the city also has a bicycle program, a sidewalk program, and additional and strategic investment areas, which are also outlined here, that will also help advance those goals over time. Now, it's with funding, it's a thing that can take time, but this plan highlights and like prioritizes where those things could go. So if there's one area that you think is more important to get to beforehand, then um, you could do that, or you can comment on
Okay.
there to make those
I
plans.
can comment on that space because I was thinking
Yeah,
about like the high school and the elementary, Palisades High School and Palisades Elementary.
yeah.
Students, high school students will be walking on York Road,
On the road. Oh my
right, to
goodness.
get to high school if they
Yeah,
miss the bus.
yeah,
And Youngblood and Shopton, whatever, it's the same road. So,
yeah,
those are things that I'm like, students should be able to walk to school
yeah,
and have a safe route without
yeah,
having to walk on um 49
yeah. Absolutely. Yeah,
with no sidewalk, like it's just in the grass.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So that might
So
be
we
one
can
area that you can
comment on
comment
that.
on. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, and again, there's the other programs, there's the bicycle program and the sidewalk program. Again, I'm in the planning department, but those departments, there's other ways that you can request. And I think in our appendix in our neighborhood toolkit, it shows ways where you can kind of advocate or request or like, get try to like help build a case for why you need those things. So in the appendix shown here, it shows that and other programs that residents can refer to for these kinds of things.
And because I joined late, I just wanted to ask, so we can now go into, as community members, go into this system and make comments on these maps or on these
Yeah.
suggested, plans for the city.
Yep, correct. And so
Okay.
yeah, you have so city council is going to be expected to adopt these plans sometime in June. So if you could put your comments in, and if you have other neighbors and community members who the more comments we see on things, the better, because then more people will see it, and it gets more. We want more input. So um, yeah, if you can go in and put these comments in before the end of May, then city will review these and consider these in any amendments to this plan before they get adopted. Yeah.
Okay,
And
that's
then
helpful.
if it's not something that gets incorporated into this adopted plan, the comments are still being documented and cataloged and addressed with the right partners like CDOT or whoever, so that in their additional planning that they do, um, they they can consider the community feedback that we've received as well. Yeah.
So my question is
Yeah.
while all this is going to be adapted, how are they adjusting to what's currently happening to a neighborhood? For example, if it's already single family and they're projecting that it, potentially stays single family in the interim, if someone comes in and puts in a development for multi-unit, are they holding pending, these plans and input, or are they just operating under the old until the new comes?
Yeah, sure. So this policy, this revised policy map that I shared here, this is this shows the current changes, but there is a current map right now that's adopted. So this is the adopted policy map right now. Um, Again, and so there's not like there's not a huge change from what's shown here than what's revised in the map. There is some small tweaks and changes, but that we do already have this adopted policy map, and this is what City Council and staff is basing our decisions on right now. And then if adopted, then we go to those new ones. So, but there's already we've already adopted these kind of place types here, and so on this current map. So this is what's in place at the moment. So yeah, there's not a hold or any, and so this happened between so the comp plan was adopted in 2021, shortly after we produced this policy map. And then so now we have this revised policy map. So this has kind of been happening since adoption in 2021, so like the past 4 to 5 years. So all of this is new guidance, and then there's been the Unified Development Ordinance, which has regulations that kind of match these. And so um, it's a lot of things that it's a lot of kind of progressive city planning work that has been done here in the past 5 years. And it might take a while to see because it's kind of like a long-term thing, but these are the tools that we have in place now to kind of help address those needs and then try to achieve that vision slowly, but over time, because it is a 2040 a long-term 2040 plan. Hopefully that answered your question.
And after voting, you said, which will happen after the end of the month, if adopted, how soon will those things be implemented?
Yeah, if adopted, the policy map would go into effect. The map would go into effect right away. So that means that any rezonings that are pending or going forward will will be based on these maps. So the community so this is for the map. The community area plans, again, they're policy documents that help guide future decision-making processes, but they're not saying that this is what's going to happen tomorrow, or it's just kind of as growth and projects come along, this will provide decision-making guidance for city council and city leaders. But it's not and again, it's kind of a plan, but not an implementation plan, if that makes sense.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Oh, the one area that you were showing about the Northwest area that
Yep.
that has, can you just mind show me where that tab is again? That had like the maybe the demographics, not the
Oh,
demographics,
yep.
the growth or job growth or
Yes. Okay. So this is on each of the plans. So if you're on this website, so again, the website you want to remember is cltfuture2040.com. And then
yeah.
from here, this is where you see current adopted policy map, revised policy map, and
Okay.
then view the draft plans. So I view the draft plans. I have it open right here. It shows you the program guide that provides kind of a background and an overview of these plans, and then the appendix provides the details of how the content was produced. And so we're in South Outer. So let me go to that page here. This is actually in the community profile. So in the community profile,
Community
oops,
profile.
it highlights, it identifies the area, and then it shows here the expected growth. So yeah, so the Southwest outer geography is projected to see an increase of 11,000 residential units, which is about 8% of the city's overall residential growth. So we have growth projections that all of this work is based on. So that 200,000 residents that we expect to see come, of those 200,000, 11,000 residents, residential units, sorry, not residents, is what's expected. And that's 8% of the city's overall residential growth. And then same for jobs. For jobs, it's 13,000 jobs, which is about 7% of the city's total growth. Um, and then this kind of highlights the demographics of the area here and compares it to the citywide numbers as well. And again, if you have comments on this area, you can just click on here, or if you have questions that or clarification things you want clarified, you can comment on there, and then staff will be providing responses for this and sharing with our planning committee and with um, the city council before they make a decision. Mhm.
Thank you. That's really helpful. I was
Okay.
like on
Yeah.
my phone before, so it was too small to
Yeah.
follow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hmm.
So here's the question.
Hmm.
How accurate was the growth projection for the adopted map that we currently use as a city?
So yeah, so those are the same projections that were, as far as I'm aware, the same projections that we did for that because it was just 2 years ago, and it's
Oh,
yeah, it was just, or we ended our policy map project and then immediately jumped into this community area plan because the policy map that we did, that was kind of at a broad scale citywide, and we used kind of the same methodology for applying those 10 place types across the city. And then in this community area planning effort, we focused in on these smaller geographies and then adjusted and tweaked as needed. So that's why you see the change is not like a huge change because most of it was done, but then it was like this section was corrections and accepting additional feedback. So it's the same projections from that to here. Yeah, for
okay.
now. But in future, so we're going to be continuing to look at the comp plan and these community area plans, I think every 8 years. And so as those numbers change, it could go up, it could go down, then we would adjust accordingly. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And the goal is the main goal is to all that growth that's coming that we know is coming is to try to focus them into our mixed use centers that are already mixed use and that are near more major infrastructure, and there's still infrastructure that's lacking, but that where it's near more major infrastructure, so we're not adding additional burdens to areas that we know have, you know, less in infrastructure. And so the goal is to move that growth that's coming to mixed use center areas and preserve the neighborhood one and yellow areas as best as we can. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm. And I will say we just have about 7 minutes left, and so I'm happy to answer any other questions that you guys may have. These are all great questions.
I don't think, unless is there anything else like fun or, cool,
Let's
something
see.
to explore within the system that I can
Yeah.
first and get them.
I don't know if you're a planning nerd. Maybe you're a planning nerd. So if you're really interested in the not the demographics, the methodology for how these were assessed, so you can look at the appendix of this of all the plans. This is the same appendix across all the plans. So again, we have our neighborhood toolkit that has different programs that the city offers in regards to housing, goods and services, open space and environmental justice, mobility, community character, and neighborhood leadership. So these are programs that the city has in place right now that residents can refer to do different things. And there's a ton in there. I'm not an expert on all of these, so I can't totally speak to everything. But like, for example, if you want to build an ADU on your property, there's some guidance around that. If someone wants to apply for a housing trust fund to build and preserve affordable housing, there's information on that. There's programs for like house rehab, um, different grants, yeah, we have a lot of programs in place that kind of help that are like working towards those goals that we want to achieve. Same for open space and environmental justice. We have a lot of programs in here. So this is a really great tool for community leaders and neighbors. Again, same for we have our bicycle parking program, repair or request sidewalk concerns, adopt a stop. So yeah, this is probably the funnest one that has a lot of different programs that are in place that people can use. And so yeah,
That's good to know. Yeah.
yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah,
I'll totally explore and kind of scroll through there and
yeah.
see the
And
gist of it.
these are separate from the community area planning program. These are just like ongoing city projects that are and programs um, that have funding and like are available for people to use. Um, and yeah, they're all kind of housed within different departments across the city. Um, Yeah, there's different, we have different Civic Leadership Academy. If you're really interested in a planning academy program where you can kind of learn a little bit more info. And I think we're going to be doing one in the future um, around these plans about how you can use these plans as community members to advocate for when new development comes in or when a developer comes in and say a developer comes in and what they're proposing does not match what's on the map. They apply for a rezoning and they're going to be considered by city council. So city council will look to these plans for the guidance for what's policy. Um, and they can reference these plans and the community members can like speak out in against or in support of those proposals if they are or are not aligned with these plans.
So my
Ultimate,
question is, and
uh-huh.
I know at some point you were showing graphics and it was saying what percentage of growth was going to happen in a particular area. You said, well, this represents like 8% of the overall city
Yes.
growth. This represents 12%. So how was it determined what percentage goes in what location?
Um, that's a good question. So the details of that, I don't know all of the specific details. We have the methodology that's outlined in the appendix that I just showed. So let me, and it shows, okay, so table of contents. Okay. I believe it's equitable growth framework. So this is part of it. Um, it was depending. Let me go back to that. So it was based on what the greatest needs were in the community. So if the greatest needs were in the community were access to housing and or access to jobs, then you can come down here in the same chapter. So 22% of the areas were recommended to change. So this shows here existing place type was this, the recommended future place type was either this or this in the area. And then it shows how those changes advance those goals that are priorities for that community. Does that make sense?
It does. Yes,
Okay,
thank you.
okay. Just make sure I said that in order. Yeah, so the goals that were identified for the priorities that were listed via the equitable growth framework, then we match those with those changes. So yeah, so those that growth kind of happens wherever. So if you need more jobs in the area, then they'll focus on more centers. If you need more housing in the area, then we'll focus more on the neighborhood one and the neighborhood two and the center's growth as well because those provide housing as well. So yeah,
All right, thank you for your time.
thank you both for joining. Thank you so much for your input.
Thank you.
All right, perfect.